In December 1972, Hanoi lay wrapped in a biting winter chill. A thin layer of mist cloaked the moss-covered rooftops and winding alleys of the old quarter, like veins feeding the heart of the nation. By then, the people of the capital had grown familiar with the piercing sound of air raid sirens, the flicker of anti-aircraft fire lighting up the night, and the haunting silence that blanketed the city when danger loomed from the west. Yet no one could have anticipated that the most brutal aerial bombardment in modern warfare was about to descend upon this historic city. Since late November, intelligence reports indicated unusual movements of U.S. strategic bombers, B-52s, gathering near the Indo-Chinese peninsula. These signs triggered heightened alarms among Vietnam's military high command. Orders were swiftly issued. Bolster Hanoi's air defense. Anti-aircraft artillery, SAM-2 missile batteries, and radar systems were deployed across key areas surrounding the capital. Deep underground, in reinforced bunkers, military strategists worked silently but urgently on contingency plans. Hanoi was bracing for an unprecedented challenge. But in the hearts of its citizens, a steely resolve had already been forged. They knew that if the capital could endure, the nation would not fall. And amid the bitter cold, Hanoi held its breath, uniting quietly as it prepared to weather the firestorm that loomed on the horizon. On the night of December 18th, 1972, the sound of Hanoi's air raid sirens pierced the cold sky, announcing the beginning of an assault unlike any other. The first wave of American B-52 bombers thundered toward the city, their flight patterns carefully calculated, but their presence unmistakable. Residents rushed into underground shelters, mothers clutching children, radios blaring military commands. From above, the black sky was torn open by flashes of light, bombs cascading downward in clusters, their eerie whistling replaced by thunderous impacts. The city shook, streets cracked, buildings collapsed, and the dark horizon burned. Yet in the chaos, Vietnam's air defense forces sprang into coordinated action. Radar stations tracked the invaders, command centers issued real-time orders, and surface-to-air missiles launched with precision. A B-52 was downed, the first. Cheers erupted in a command bunker, brief and restrained, for everyone knew many more waves were coming. The SAM-2 operators remained stone-faced, reloading, recalculating. In the sky, fire met fire. Hanoi was bleeding, but it was fighting back. Amid the smoke and rubble, the heart of the city beat stronger, refusing to yield. The Aerial Dien Bien Phu had truly begun. As the bombing campaign intensified through the night of December 19, Hanoi seemed to vanish beneath clouds of smoke and fire. The streets that once echoed with bicycle bells and school children's laughter now lay buried under twisted metal and debris. Giant craters carved through neighborhoods like monstrous wounds. Still, the city did not collapse. Firefighters, medics, and volunteers clawed through rubble with bare hands. Rescue efforts stretched through the night, powered by flashlights and human will. At radar stations, eyes remained fixed on screens, calculating the next wave's path. B-52s roared overhead, dropping payloads with mechanical indifference. But below, every detonation was met with resistance. Churches, hospitals, and homes were hit. Civilians died. But the capital's soul endured. People refused to leave, even as sirens screamed again and again. Some stayed behind to help the injured, to fight fires, or simply to stand guard. This was not just a city being bombed. This was a people refusing to break. Each night Hanoi burned, and each morning it stood again, blackened but unbowed. In the dark skies above Hanoi, while B-52s loomed high with their near-invincible altitude and payloads of destruction, a quiet counterforce emerged from the Earth, the Soviet-made SAM-2 surface-to-air missile. Each launch was a calculated strike, a needle fired at a giant. Operated by highly trained Vietnamese crews, these missiles became symbols of resistance. In cold bunkers, operators scanned radars, coordinated launch data, and counted heartbeats between missile releases. The air crackled with tension as each B-52 icon lit up on radar screens. With a press of a button, the silence broke. Towers of smoke erupted, and missiles ascended in arcs of vengeance. The people called them sky swords. While success was never guaranteed, every B-52 downed shook American strategy and emboldened Vietnamese morale. Despite American jamming technologies and decoys, Hanoi's defenders adapted. They moved launchers, studied patterns, adjusted frequencies. More bombers fell. Each SAM-2 launch was more than defense. It was declaration. In the battlefield above the clouds, the sky no longer belonged solely to machines of war. It was contested by will, ingenuity, and unyielding resolve. By December 30th, 1972, after 12 nights of unrelenting air raids, Hanoi emerged not as a broken ruin, but as a symbol of endurance. The skies grew quiet. The final waves of B-52s had come and gone, many never to return. American losses mounted, and strategic goals slipped further from reach. In the silence that followed, the people of Hanoi stepped out from shelters, blinking against the light, brushing soot from their faces. Rubble was cleared, bricks gathered, classes resumed in makeshift schools, vendors reopened under torn awnings, children played beside craters like nothing had changed. But everything had. The Vietnamese had endured the might of modern air power with nothing but grit, coordination, and will. The downed aircraft scattered across rice fields, the wreckage displayed in museums later became emblems of defiance. President Nixon, facing mounting pressure, resumed peace talks in Paris, and just weeks later, the Paris Peace Accords were signed. Dien Bien Phu Tren Khung was more than a battle, it was a turning point. In resisting the B-52s, Hanoi had preserved not only its soil but the dignity of a nation. Morning broke, and Hanoi, scarred, mourning but unyielding, stood tall.